So the question is, can I build a list or do a video or a couple of videos on what is in my pack for a mountaineering trip or for a rock climbing trip? So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to make a couple of videos. I do find it to be pretty easy to leave things behind if I'm not really careful, especially when I'm doing trips back to back. Now, I only guide about 45 days a year. The rest of the time I'm an administrator, as you can see, because I make a lot of videos from my office. Of course, 45 days of actual work, and then I play too, both with friends, with my kids, whatever. But I do find that it's pretty easy to leave things behind. So I have some things set up in a certain way so I don't make mistakes. First, I do have a gear wall with everything set up the way I like it so I can find things easily for my whole family. Directly above my workbench, I have these lists that I try to keep. And I look at this before I go into the field every single time to make sure I don't forget something. So today I'm going to talk about my mountaineering equipment. You'll note I do have carpet remnants on the floor here. That's in case there's some old battery acid or something on the floor. I want to be really careful about getting any of my equipment damaged by something that somebody who owned this house in the past had. We start over here. I have some base layers here, essentially an R1, climbing pants, sun shirt, long johns, a buff. I have a mid-layer jacket. I have shell gear. I have some poles, and I have my sleeping bag. In the middle here, I have my technical gear. Now, this is going to be dependent on what kind of trip you're doing on a mountaineering program. So, of course, I have an ice screw and a picket, but the number of those is going to be dependent. I will generally bring 4 lockers and 5 non-lockers. I like to bring my micro tracks to help with crevasse rescue, but I also have some sling material and such to do whatever I need to do. Of course, I have a helmet and an ice axe. This is my harness right here. As I move over to the right, I have water bottles, a stove, sunglasses, headlamp, fuel. This is like my essentials bag, things I just never want to forget. Toothpaste is in there, lip balm, my charging equipment. Right here I have InReach Mini 2. I carry generally 2 pairs of gloves for mountaineering things. There's my tent. I have a pair of boots here, crampons, a rope, and a backpack. So when it comes to specific brands, it's always changing, right? We generally will have a boot layer, socks. We'll have a bottom layer that goes from long johns to essentially some kind of wind-resistant pant to a shell. Upper layer, depending on what we're doing, it's going to go from usually a sun shirt at the base layer, then some kind of light mid-layer, R1-y thing. I like to use hoods so I don't have to bring a hat during a lot of the season. And then some kind of mid-layer, a puffy of some sort, up to a shell. And what I bring for camping is going to be dependent on the trip too. Certainly in hard alpine climbing, which is something beyond mountaineering, the next level up where I'm maybe rock climbing or ice climbing in the high mountains, I'm going to try to cut everything I can. Sometimes I'm just bringing a bivy sack, not even a sleeping bag. But on a normal mountaineering trip, a glacier mountaineering trip, I am going to bring a nice sleeping bag, a nice pad. If there is snow, I'm generally going to bring, if I'm sleeping on snow, I'm generally going to bring 2 pads, a foam pad plus an inflatable pad to insulate myself against the ground. As far as a tent, it just depends on the trip. I'm currently using a hyperlight tent for 2 people, and I have a 3-season 1-person tent sometimes I use for work.